Welcome to the Noodle podcast. We are Kate and Max, and we love noodling on what we've learned by accident. This podcast is a space where we share how we get the best out of ourselves and the people we've worked with. In today's episode, we talk about when we learned that our positive intentions might be having a negative impact. We also cover why feedback, love it or hate it, is so useful, and the importance of being curious and willing to develop yourself and others. Plus, there's a bit about cake.
Morning.
Good morning. Hello. Hi, Max. Thank
Morning,
you for having
Kate.
me.
Pleasure.
So today,
Yeah.
this podcast is called Quiet Doesn't Mean Lazy. And it's all about that moment when you realise not everyone's like you. And as part of the Accidental Manager series, that's kind of where we start,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah. This is really early realisation stuff that for you and I probably didn't come early enough,
No.
maybe. I think for some people, the realisation happens, but it happens in waves as it keeps happening. But I think we'll come on to that. So should we start with quiet doesn't mean lazy and where that started for you, Kate?
And why I'm giggling,
Yeah.
because I'm not proud of this, but I honestly used to think that people who didn't speak up in a meeting or in a group, I just thought, why are they just sitting back, making me do all the talking? How lazy. And yeah, I did think I was the one that was helping everyone by being, chipping in with stuff and coming up with things. And I guess I've probably always been like that. And in the world of work, particularly when I got to be managing other people, it wasn't until a particular training day when we did something, psychometric profiling. Not everyone's had a chance to do that, but sometimes you get these team bonding sessions where you each get a report done on you and you find out, why do you behave like that, and what do you do when you're stressed, and what's your sweet spot. And in this fairly small team that I had recently started managing, we got our results of these reports. And that is when I realised quiet people aren't necessarily lazy. They're having a think about what they're going to say, and then they say it. Whereas I kind of talk until I get to the thing that seems to make sense.
So what was the realisation, or what was the impact of that realisation for you at that moment in time, though?
So actually, the other people in the group were quite, blown by this as well. It just all helped us to realise, oh, you do that because of that. It also, because of getting feedback, I hate feedback, made me realise I can be quite irritating. I'm not helping. Yes, I know. I'm not helping people by gabble, 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 gabble.
Yeah.
If I shut the hell up, somebody will come up with something. And it might even be better than what I was thinking.
Crazy idea.
I know.
And how old were you when you had this realisation?
That's the thing. I wish I'd known it sooner. I think I was in my late 20s. I know. What about you? What was your moment when you realised not everyone's like you?
So mine was about stress, sort of. So I had a realisation that when I was in situations where nobody knew what to do, and complete blank sheet of paper type situation, ridiculous challenge, that I was all fired up and yes, great, I know what to do. We can go here, we can go there, we could do this, we could do that. A bit like you, everyone else sitting there like looking at me with that funny look, like how, what? And I'm looking at them thinking, why don't you know what to do? What's wrong with you?
Come on. Why are you excited about this crazy thing that we don't really know what we're doing?
Pull your socks up. So I went on a training thing, a diploma in stress management, because I realised that I got excited about what I considered to be enjoyable situations, but other people considered them stressful. So I did a diploma in stress management. So that led me to realise, what am I doing? I might be causing some of this, because I think other people are obviously not relishing those sorts of situations the same way as I am. And I might be making it worse, or even actually creating those situations for people. And that was when I thought, I need to explore this a bit more. And I started with going on a training on stress management. And through that, I learnt a lot.
Yeah.
I also learnt a lot that I've probably forgotten, that I need reminding of every now and then.
Yeah.
But exactly that realisation that some people really enjoy not knowing what they're doing and some people actually find that a bit challenging.
Yeah.
And to recognise that those differences need to be accounted for when you're working with people. You can't assume everyone's the same as you.
No.
Even though I do like to use the phrase everyone a lot because you pull me up on it.
Even today, you have a new dishwasher. I said, how's that working out for you? You were like, fine, but having to empty it. Everyone hates unloading the dishwasher. But I quite like doing that, putting everything to rights. It feels okay. What else is the everyone?
Well, everyone likes role play. No, I say everyone doesn't like. Yeah, everyone hates role play. Yeah, because I hate role play.
Yeah. And yet I know a lot of situations where it's very, very helpful. Not everyone has that kind of work feeling about role play. I love a fancy dress opportunity.
I know you do. I don't.
You do not.
No, definitely not.
You think...
Everyone likes cake.
Yes.
I do think everyone likes cake. I think there's something wrong with people if they don't like cake.
Oh dear. But I'm married to someone who hates cake and anything sweet, which, it is weird. But we can't just say, okay, everyone's like this. But you and I work with people who get so frustrated because they don't understand why people won't just do the thing.
Yeah.
Why are they behaving like that? Why won't people stop crying?
I think it's that's listening to people's words, isn't it? When they say, why won't they? Or they're frustrated, or that everyone word. Or always, or any of those sort of all-encompassing words are the sort of flashpoints for people, which is interesting. You're thinking that everyone needs to be the same, feel the same, think the same in any situation. So if I think about it, I was probably about the same age as you, I think, when I had my realisation.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't stop, does it? Because I think we have lots of tools that we've come across in our careers that help us to realise. Do you want to talk about one of them? I think is the...
Which one?
Johari
window, yeah. But there are loads
of
ways of thinking. What's it like to be someone else and look through their lens? We all have our own perspective. We think that is the truth, the way things are. And when you step around that and look from a different perspective, you go, your realisation of maybe I'm causing some of this. Maybe the way I'm behaving is triggering other people into doing something. So the Johari window I really like because it helps you get curious about who you are, what other people know about you, what they see in you, what they can see that you don't even know you're doing sometimes, particularly if you're stressed or whatever. You might go into sort of over-controlling mode. Maybe you don't realise you're doing that. And maybe you're really trying very hard to make sure that everything's fitting nicely into place. And you don't know that the impact of that on other people is, get out of my face, I've got this, it's okay, please leave me, trust me to do what I need to do. So I think that getting curious of what's it like to not be me? Why do you do the thing that you do? What's important to you that I've never really thought about before? And that helps you to think about your own blind spots.
I was going to say the blind spots, the word here, is realising that somebody's doing something that surprises you, confuses you, is as much a blind spot for you as it is for them when you're doing things differently and you're both looking at one another going, that's a bit weird. You're not doing the thing I thought you were going to do. Yeah. And then getting curious about it rather than getting frustrated.
Yes.
Which I think early on when you're managing people, you just get annoyed that people won't do things the way you want them to.
Yes.
Come along.
What's wrong? Yeah. So kind of dialing back on judgment, they're wrong, I'm right, and up on what's going on here is kind of the big learning moment, I think, for a lot of people who are finding themselves frustrated, is just to breathe, take a step back and go, what might be going on here? That's where some of our noodle bites condense that learning. Yeah. So Johari window.
Scarf is another good one.
Scarf is a great one.
So we'll come back to scarf, I'm sure, on another day. But that's talking about threat and reward and the great work by David Rock. And I think that stuff, our ability to condense it down to help you to understand each time something unusual's happened, how can I look at this in a different way, and what tools can help me look at this in a different way? Yeah. Because I think you and I, we keep uncovering them. It's not like, just because at 26, 27, 28 we realised everyone's different, doesn't mean that you don't have those moments of going, I'm stuck now in this situation. Yeah. So it keeps coming, doesn't it?
It does. And I think one of the other things that we know, and we'll come back to, is when people seem to be behaving in a way that's really less than helpful, there's something that's gone into overdrive with them. They're kind of overextended.
Yes.
So for my one, it is I want to take charge or help or have the answers. And maybe when I'm stressed, I go into overly micromanaging or controlling or trying to plan everything to the nth degree, which is stressful for me and the people around me as well.
And that's been part of our journey working together, though, is learning even more about one another through that process. Because although we worked together before we went into business together, when you're sitting trying to do work together and run a business and support your family, it all gets, those other influences that bring out these interesting behaviours. You go, okay, I haven't seen that before.
Yes.
Of course, because you love feedback as well, so it makes it easy.
More about the feedback. I don't want to hear it. So it does take a little bit of trust and time to be able to go, what's going on here?
Yes.
And not to just react in the moment. And either you kind of do more of what you're doing badly or stop doing it altogether. That fight or flight. Or freeze. Yeah. So I think a lot of this comes with development, with just being ready to work on yourself.
Yes.
Really wanting to get the best out of other people as well. Recognising you can't change other people's behaviour, but you can, if you've got a trusted relationship, start going, what's going on here? Can I help?
I like what you were saying there about investing in yourself, because that's the fundamental thing, isn't it? Which I think you and I have got in common, which is we're constantly wanting to know more and more about ourselves, and that investing in yourself and saying, actually, I can be the best version of me if I concentrate on challenging myself and thinking about how I do things and how I impact other people.
Yeah.
Rather than seeing them as the problem.
Yeah.
But seeing me as the possible way forward and the solution. But I've got to be prepared to look at the ugly bits.
Yeah.
The not so pleasant bits. All the bits in that blind spot that's just there.
I know. Have you ever had a manager or someone who's sort of championed you, who has kindly offered you a way to find out more about what you're doing that might be less than helpful?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened?
I had 360 feedback. I had that for people that haven't had 360 feedback. That's where somebody sends out a survey to the people that are working above you, below you, beside you, so that you're getting feedback from every level. And that was both liberating and shocking at the same time, because I got completely opposite sets of data. Some that said I was amazing and some that said that I was awful. And it made me cry. Made me cry. But it was one of the most sort of pivotal moments for me in realising that I thought differently. So by then stopping and stepping back and going, okay, so why do these people think I'm awful? And what is it about the way that I'm operating in this environment that's making them think that?
Yeah.
That's different to this group over here who think I'm amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was a real reflection point, but it really did require a lot of digging deep and feeling quite sad. What about you?
Well, I was going to say just on that, I'm sorry that you cried with that.
No, that's all right. Good.
But that is often the thing, isn't it? You have a choice about what to do with that information.
Yeah.
You can either try to change yourself completely, and that sometimes doesn't come across too well. No. I always say feedback is like a gift, and you can return it if you like. Or have you kept the receipt? I don't like it. I'm not going to do anything with that. So yeah, I guess 360 feedback worked for me as well. But I think when I've had managers who've recognised there's something I'm either not doing or need to know about, and they've offered me the opportunity to work on that in a kind of kind way, that's been helpful. So I think I was put on a course for how to learn to have gravitas, for example. And gravitas is one of those weird ones. I think particularly for women, sometimes it's a bit like you need to be a bit less emotional. Yeah. Act a bit more like the senior guys in
bigger
our
shoulders.
Team. Yeah.
Hold your chest.
Yeah. But on the other hand, there's also, you're not coming across as your best self if you're being a bit flaky or inconsistent or having a wobble in times when other people are looking to you to be the strong person.
Yeah.
So that for me was one of those, what does gravitas mean? And what does it mean for me? What's my flavour of that?
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily do it, but I've got it in my head.
You do it. You do
you think?
it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But I think we're both seasoned enough at this stuff to also know that no matter how well you think you've carried yourself or you've gone through a situation, we still, much as we joke about you not liking feedback, we're always doing that.
Yes.
Could we have done it better? What happened there? What about that little moment even? So a whole meeting could have gone well, but we'll still have, what was that about?
Yes.
Because we've noticed that something didn't land right, something got confused, and it's all in that communication, the way that you come across, because you intend to come across positively.
Yes.
Or you intend to be a good manager.
Yeah.
And the magic in them there hills is when you realise you're not.
Yeah.
And what you choose, as you say, to do about it.
Yeah. In a way that still is you. It's not about having a personality transplant.
No.
It's maybe about dialing up some stuff you didn't realise you were really good at, or dialing back on the stuff that maybe it works for you, but it's not working in this context with this group of people. And so maybe you sit on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So I think that the fundamental message here for us, and I guess for people that are watching and listening, is that investment in self.
Yeah.
And instead of being hard on yourself, being curious. So seeing anything that doesn't work as like a little bit of, ooh, okay, what that's, I can get curious about that, I can get interested in that. And from there, I'm going to accidentally learn some things that I wouldn't have necessarily learnt sitting in a normal classroom doing structured training.
Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. The main point I think we would say about any of this is if you invest in learning more about yourself, it will be the best investment you ever make.
Absolutely. So we would invite people, if you haven't already, to sign up for our podcast.
Yep.
And for the whole series of The Accidental Manager.
And if you've only got a short amount of time and you just want to learn about your blind spots and what makes people tick, then the 2 noodle bites we would suggest are Johari window and the scarf model.
Thank you for today.
Thank you for today.
Does that mean we get to eat cake now?
Please, can we go eat cake?
Right, let's go.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We'd love to know what you think and any experiences that you might have that you're happy to share. Please leave a message for us on www.noodle.space. Don't forget to subscribe, share and leave us a review. We'll see you next time.